Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of Inspiring Series, and I'm very honored and delighted to have a special guest with me is Hafeiz. Hi Hafeiz.
Hi, Karisha.
How are you?
I'm good, thank you. Thanks for having me on your show.
Thank you so much for being in my show today, and can you introduce yourself?
So my name is Hafeiz Hassan. I'm the co-founder of Singularity Aerotech Asia. We are an engineering as well as a tech company focusing on emerging technology such as green technology for aircraft as well as agri-tech technology. So yeah, so we've been doing this for the last 2 years, and I think later on when we talk about the stuff that we've been doing, I can explain a little bit more about some of the projects that we are currently doing, some of the research and development work that my teams are currently working on. So yeah, very happy to share some of the experiences with the audience.
Okay, and as the Chief Executive Officer of Singularity Aerotech Asia, what are some of the projects that you are currently working on?
So Singularity Aerotech Asia has 2 divisions. The first division focuses on engineering of aerospace projects. So we are talking about the next generation aircraft that focuses on new emerging technologies such as hydrogen. Currently, our team is working with our partners in Europe to look at the next generation eco-regional aircraft. So we are very excited to be part of this, and inshallah, hopefully we should be able to announce something big in the next quarter or so that can help create new opportunities in Malaysia. The second division under Singularity Aerotech Asia is the tech division, where we focus on developing simple and affordable IoT system. Currently, we are targeting 2 underserved sectors. The first one is agro, the food production. And the second one is looking at industrial-based IoT system as well, where we focus on getting more data points coming from man, machine, and materials. So these are quite exciting times. COVID-19 obviously have pushed a lot of digitalization projects, intensify the needs for company to migrate into digital ways of doing things. So we have seen a lot of opportunities in that particular area. So some of the projects that we're currently working on is on a fully integrated digital farm management system that combines IoT-based information data with a sophisticated digital farm management system that allows MyGap certification and so on. The other projects that we're currently working on is the implementation of blockchain on supply chain for manufacturing, that also pulling data coming from IoT sensors. And you're also developing a new digital platform to manage the equipment better. And this is hopefully something that we can announce in Q1 next year. So focus of the company is mainly on sustainability of doing business, sustainability of the planet itself, in terms of looking at new green technologies. And I think the future is very exciting. And we always look at any crisis and opportunity for us to emerge stronger.
Yeah, that sounds really exciting. So you have a lot on your plate at the moment. So I'm sure that you and your team are really busy, embarking on the new projects.
Yes, very busy. I think despite the restrictions of coming to the office in the last 18 months, we found ourselves working more from home. And I think it's sort of like blurred the lines between work and life sort of balance. But because it is something that is quite close to the heart, and I think the whole Singularity team is also quite passionate in terms of contributing to the society, in terms of making changes, real changes to the world. I have a fantastic team behind me, and they have worked very hard to roll out a lot of new products, getting something that the market really needs, out there that can really help the industry, and also in the case of farming, the farmers as well. So it's been busy period for us, but like my mentor always said, busy is always good. And we are grateful for the opportunities that we've been provided.
Okay, moving on to the next question. Question number 2. What is the most challenging moment, and how do you overcome it? How do you bounce back?
There are many challenging moments in my life. For me, you can only grow once you learn something from these kind of moments, right? I remember when I was in universities, I did my master's degrees in Imperial College London, one of the toughest universities in Europe. I mean, I've been quite lucky. I think I've been quite. I was a bright student, coming from the boarding school and all that, and always getting straight A's and all that. But the moment you come into an institution like that, you suddenly found that you're amongst the world's brightest. So the competition and the work, the courses themselves are pretty hard. You got to put extra effort just to pass. And I think I somehow underestimated the effort that's required. I also got distracted quite a lot during my student days, and come a point where I almost failed my courses, and I had to really knuckle down, and at a point that I almost lost my scholarship as well at the time. So I really had to double the work that I put in during the studies. And I think for 1 year, I almost did no social activities, just focus on the study, and learn to actually work better with my teammates as well, classmates in projects and things like that. I have to quickly identify my strengths and weaknesses. There are subjects where I just couldn't cope, so I need to be able to go and seek help and do extra work. So I think at that point, I learned very quickly to know how to assess my own, be critical of myself, in a sense that, first being able to accept that you can't always be the top of the pile. There will be situations where you have to figure out and adapt, when the situation is tough like that, and learn to work together in a team, and identify people's strengths and weaknesses as well, and work better in that sense. So this has been quite a humbling experience for me. Thankfully, I survived, managed to pull through my grades during, I think, a very intense 12 months. Basically just knuckle down and focus on my study. And after that, I came back and then work. And obviously during my working period as well, there are many instances where I've been challenged, working on projects that have impossible deadlines, impossible expectations from the customers. So when it comes to that kind of scenarios, I found that on top of managing the project itself, in terms of what clients are expecting of you on paper, the interaction with the clients is a living thing. It's not just, if a project runs for 2 years, you can't expect everything to be hunky-dory for the next 2 years. Client management starts before the project starts. You got to understand how any particular project can grow in scope, can change the requirements and all that. And you have to be able to anticipate that. And you got to be able to spot this kind of key markers when the project starts to go wrong. So there have been many instances where the project started to go south, obviously you learn your lessons and try to manage the situation. But there were instances where you just could not save it anymore, and you have to cut your losses. And then you have to take a really hard look in terms of why the project actually didn't go the way that you planned. Is it because internally you didn't have the technical capabilities? Is it the way that you manage your customers? Not very good. So you got to you have to ask your team, and you have to ask yourself as leaders the hard questions, and from there only that you can learn. And yeah, so this is some of the things that I've started taking and built into the culture of Singularity, because learning in the classroom and all that, the theories are all fine and good, but in real world, you got to look at the learning from experiences, and the best teacher is basically the painful experiences, and this can only come from
the challenges,
control failures, I would say. Yeah. So people talking about R&D, try again until you fail, but generally R&D in Malaysia is very confined. In businesses, you got to have to take that calculated risk and know that there is certain percentage chances that the things may not turn out the way that it's going to be. It's how you learn from it, right? And how you improve from that. That's important.
Okay, now moving on to the next question. IR 4.0 technology in agriculture. Can you elaborate more on smart agriculture using IoT? Okay, so IR 4.0 is such a widely used word and widely misinterpreted terms nowadays. And generally when people talk about IR 4.0 in agriculture, the first thing they're thinking about is the use of drones, use of robots to be able to make agriculture more modern. Because we have a very deep understanding of the manufacturing industry, which is where the terms IR 4.0 is being coined, and from our engineering division as well, we work a lot with the manufacturers because we come up with the design and we work with manufacturers to make sure that design is, it can be manufactured and can be produced. So IR 4.0, the big difference is actually the level of connectivities. So automation and all that already started from the 60s and the 70s, where you have robots and so on. IR 4.0 is just allowing a certain level of connectivity that enable these different machines or these different centers to talk to one another, exchange data within a particular framework. So in the industry like aerospace, the foundation of IR 4.0 with regards to the standard framework, the quality framework, as well as the data integrity, how you're actually managing the data throughout the life cycle, i.e. from the moment that you start drawing the parts down to the production of the parts, going to the maintenance of the parts as well. The data can be traced to the source. It's very visible from the start to finish. That's what we call product lifecycle management. Now, and it's a practice. It's being practiced in the industry. So the people in the industry knows the value of having good quality data, having reliable data, and working within a particular process or standard framework, so that the data is well understood. Because in certain countries, certain terms is being used and meant certain ways. In certain countries, it's being certain terms being used and interpreted certain ways. But in aerospace industry, all those interpretation, all those terminologies are being implemented in one standard format. Okay, so when you talk about IR 4.0, all these are prerequisites before you can actually implement it. And I believe when we approach the IR 4.0 implementation for agriculture, we are trying to carry across the best industry practice coming from aerospace to agriculture. So that's the way that we approach it. And we also look at in a sense the philosophy of data now becoming the new oil. So when we talk about data being new oil, it is a commodity that can be then upgraded or value added to become something more beneficial to the users downstream. So, but at the source, like oil and gas, right? You have the upstream activities where you have to start digging the data, you have to take out the data. And in the agriculture practice, that is missing. The data points where you can get the data is all over the place. There's no standard ways for you to get this kind of data, especially when talking about large tract of land or large sort of like plantation area, because the cost of doing it is just too much. There's no big enough network setup that can cover that kind of land. And the previous sensor technology, you need to have it powered through electricity. So there's a lot of hiccups. There's a lot of obstacles from the infrastructure and hardware technology point of view. So in the last, I would say in the last 5 years, we have seen the sensor technology and the network connectivity started to become cheaper and more widely available. So that helps for us to make the IoT sensors becoming more affordable, which is the first, I would say, prerequisite for you to get a more reliable data coming from the environment. So that's the first step. So as you get the data coming from the upstream activities, you need to collect that and compile it in a data lake somewhere and start doing proper analytics. And then you can spot trends, can create alerts and all that. So then you can, from there on, then you can focus on more downstream activities and allow precision farming, because precision farming, you're talking about doing things exactly as you need it to be, rather than applying a more sort of like one size fit all for the whole farm. Because like soil actually within the farm, within 4 acres of soil, it actually has a slightly different characteristic. Especially the contours are different and all that. So you can apply different mitigation measures. You can apply different sort of like schedule and soil treatment process specific for that particular plot. And this is what we are doing. We are allowing precision agriculture as well. So you don't have to use as much fertilizers or soil treatment chemicals that you need. Then you can reduce the use of labors, and you can improve the yield as well. So all this has been done. I think to date we have more than 10 sites, and it has shown to have improved the productivity, the produce, the production of the farm as well, the yields, the harvest, and all that. And because we structured the business and the business model as such that it is affordable, most of the farms are able to get the return on investment within one crop cycle. So within one harvest cycle, they were able to get their money back. So that has been very positive for us. And now the next step is for us to better interpret the data and work together with specific crop types, so we can then putting a bit more tacit or can transfer tacit knowledge from these old school farmers into the system, so that they can have a more repeatable and standardized quality of produce across the farms. So in the end, it will become like a proper industry. So, because you're talking about manufacturing of parts, regardless whether the parts coming from factory A or factory B, as long as it follows the same recipe, same process, the quality is going to be the same. If you buy your Mercedes from coming CKD coming from Pekan Pahang, or you buy it from Stuttgart in Germany, because they follow the same process, the quality is going to be the same. And this is what we're trying to do with agriculture. The moment that we got the recipe to produce high quality fruit then we want to be able to replicate these recipes at other farmers as well by controlling the parameters. Streamline the production and supply chain as well to connect them to buyers and so on. So I think the opportunities are huge. If you got the general infrastructure and the data mining strategy right, there's a lot of downstream activities that we can do. It helps with the overall planning as well. It helps prevent food wastage. If you're talking about the mismatch of supply and demand, by having all this data on a platform, it allows you to reduce such cases.
Okay, and moving on to the next question. Okay, this is on leadership. Why is it important for you as a leader to lead by example? And what is Singularity Aerotech Asia working culture?
It's hard for me to pin down the culture in Singularity Aerotech on any particular sort of like phrases or or descriptions. But what I would say is that we have 45 engineers and developers at the moment. I've always practiced open communication. But for me, before you start with talking about the culture of the company and all that, you have to start with the kind of talents that you have. The talents and the people that you want to work with you. You want them to at least share the same core values. Must have the competency and the capabilities to do the job. They must have a strong sense of accountability, right? So they know that if they did something wrong, then they will just quickly own up to it, not finger pointing, not blaming others. Okay, this is my screw up, I'm going to fix it. The third one is trustworthy. So in the line of job that we do, the only reasons that people are going to come and ask you to do something, especially in the area of engineering services and so on, is your reputation and whether they can trust you to do the job. So they will look at your track record and they will evaluate you as a person and to see whether, yeah, this guy, I think I can trust him and I can get him to do this particular job. So those are the three basic values that we emphasize. It's not written on any walls anywhere in our office, but it's something that we emphasize in terms of the usual meetings that we have. In any of the staff meeting that we have, we always emphasize that. And by having having a team that shares these kind of core values, then it allows you to have more transparent and open communication. And in doing so, they know the real situation of the company. If the company is doing well, if the company is not doing well, if you got issues on specific delivery of the projects, they would know because people talk, right? And they need to know and they need to hear it from the leader themselves that the company has an issue, and then the leader themselves must first be accountable as a whole for the top issues. And then we filter down that level of responsibilities at each of the station. So it's not so much of hierarchy, I would say, in terms of the way that we function. But we do assign strong responsibilities to the leaders, like head of departments and things like that, because we do need people with a certain level of maturity and a certain level of technical capabilities to lead a group of people. Having said that, we encourage anyone to take initiatives. We reward them for being able to take initiatives. It's okay if they fail. And that has worked very well. I have engineers or aerospace engineers who took very, I would say, deep interest into agriculture.
So, and because he's pretty much has done all that needs to be done in the aerospace side, so he was very keen to help on the agri side. So he took the initiative. He worked together with the other teammates and developed a product out of that. So he asked me for permission to do that. I said, by all means, do it. I give you 2 months to come up with the products. Tell me how you're going to do it. So he explained to me. And there were some hiccups here and there, but in the end, we managed to get it out. And then the product is now being launched. And yeah, that's from aerospace engineer. But we can allow that kind of sort of like trial and error if, you know, the first people, firstly, the people is really capable, competent, and he's accountable. He's going to own up to the error. He's not just going to screw something up and just point to the other person. And you can trust him to do the right thing. So for me, those are the 3 characters that are important. We need to have that, you know, within the team. And I don't micromanage so much, but I do get into details. I sit in almost all the technical meetings that the team runs, and I listen more than I speak. I allow people the opportunity, everybody to speak up and voice their concerns and address it, right? So this kind of openness, I think, is more it's more of a need nowadays, especially with the new norms that we're facing now, right? And with also the new generations that are coming to workforce. People, I think everybody needs to adapt to this new sort of like expectations when it comes to working environment.
I think that is really important, Hafeiz, the adaptability and also agility, yeah, agile, especially like in this period. And I think all of us, we've learned a lot during the pandemic because all of the staff, they have to, you know, step outside their comfort zone and they have to do something that they've never done before. And I think like this is relatable in any industries, right?
Correct. Yes. So it's really a test of your character as well. And you're right, adaptability is a keyword, and learnability as well, i.e. your willingness to learn and and question things as well.
Okay, so we come almost to the end of the show. And the last question is, what is your advice to the millennials, to the Gen Z?
It depends on what they want to do, I suppose. Advice can be anything, right? If they are looking at, you know, joining workforce, or they want to climb the corporate ladder or advance in the careers, I guess start by being more proactive in what you do. Do more than what you're being asked for, right? And take initiatives. And I think employers, especially during this time, they appreciate if employees show a bit of empathy in terms of what the employees are going through. Times are tough. As a business owner, I got countless sleepless nights thinking about the business. But I'm grateful that my team is showing utter commitments in terms of the things that they are doing. So I know things are being taken care of in terms of project delivery. But I think in general, for people who are going into the workforce, especially if you join SMEs, and by all means, you know, the bright ones out there, don't simply just go for the big MNCs and all that. I advise you to look at learning opportunities, look at places where you can learn the business from A to Z. It can be more enriching rather than having a fancy name card. I was blessed that I was able to be given that opportunity early in my careers, where I was able to see throughout, you know, the overall business process, right from the customer's engagement, right to the engineering design process, right to the product realization,
product support and all that. I've been lucky to be involved in all those processes. Large corporations tend to put you in one role and you'll be lucky to be rotated across, but generally you become a generalist rather than in-depth specialist. And working with smaller companies, SMEs, also allow you the opportunity to learn from possibly the founders or possibly the business owners themselves. And from there, there's a lot of things that you can learn in terms of how you want to run a business. And I think the SMEs in Malaysia in needs of the biggest and brightest talents. While the MNCs have been fantastic to the economic growth in Malaysia, we want our economies also to be driven by Malaysians. So I think if the brightest and the best talents out there can give the SME a chance, join them, work together to grow the SMEs, I think that'll be fantastic, a shot in the arm. And you can also make a change by joining the SMEs as well. You can create your own startup soon, by learning from these guys. And then you can create job opportunities for other Malaysians, which is, what I'm doing at the moment. So it is a way for you to pay it forward as well, further down your careers. And yeah, that would be my advice to the millennials and Gen Zs.
Yeah, I really agree with you, Hafeiz, totally agree with you, because I think that, especially for the young people, they also have to have the ability to take risks as well, and also to be able to not be afraid of taking the risks, because a lot of people are afraid of making mistakes and taking the risk, right? But if you don't jump,
Yeah.
you never learn.
Yeah.
If you don't jump, you never.
Correct.
You have to have that leap of faith. And it's okay if you make mistakes. If you make mistakes, that is where you learn. And that is called the learning curve. I have made so many mistakes, but it's okay. It's how you grow, and you learn from it. And another thing that I want to pinpoint is also the multitasking part. So I have to agree with you. If you work in an SME environment, it's different from MNC or multinational corporation, right? So if you work in SME, it's more small scale, but the positive side is you get to learn a lot of things, and you need to be able to multitask as well. And also you are exposed to the area that you are not familiar of before, but that is how you grow. And that is when you learn new stuff. And you explore the things that, you've done the things that you think that you are not capable of. And that is how you step outside of the comfort zone. So for me, I think doing multiple tasks, multitasking, I think it's becoming, everyone multitasks right now, right? Everybody. So for example, like me, I multitask. So I hold many hats. So I think it's possible. And everyone can do it. So for example, that you're not just good at one particular area, but you are also good in other areas as well. And your skill set might be very beneficial to your employers. And that is how you contribute back to your company and also to the country and also to Malaysia. Yeah, the manpower. And it's also part of nation building as well.
Correct. Yes. So learn new skills on the side, hustle if you must. Those can only work to enrich your own experience later in life. Invest in relationship too, business relationship. After you're done with your projects, ask your clients out for teh tarik and all that. Keep relationship, because in business, that's very important. I don't play golf, but I do other things. But in general, I keep a very good relationship with all my clients. In aerospace, especially, it can be a very small world. Sometimes your client later become your partners, can become your employees, can become your suppliers. So it's a funny old world, So be nice to everyone in the industry. Don't burn any bridges so soon just because you're not happy with something. So I guess in general, once you get into the workplace, be kind to everyone, treat people like the way you want to be treated, because those things matter. It's not just your technical abilities, you know, your wizardry in doing computer programming and all that. You're working with people, so social manners and etiquettes, that all matters.
Yes, social manners, soft skills. Soft skills. This is very important in any job, in any field. Soft skills, communication skills. And you mentioned about building relationship. And this is really important because you build the relationship with your client. You know, they trust you to be able to build the trust. Yeah. And also networking, invest in networking, business networking. So this is really important in any sectors. So yeah, so I really agree with you. And do you have anything else that you would like to share with our viewers today?
No, I think the questions you asked pretty much cover all that I want to share. Thank you for allowing me to use this platform to share my 2 cents worth and share my experience as well.
Okay, thank you so much, Hafeiz. Thank you for being in Inspiring Series Video Podcast. And for those of you who are watching this, I hope that you are motivated and also inspired by the sharing from Hafeiz just now. And till then, stay safe, take care, bye.
Thank you, bye.